The Guns on Pegs podcast is brought to you by iTap Group. Hello and welcome to the Guns on Pegs podcast. My name is George Brown. I'm here in Hampshire.
It's Avian in Cornwall.
It's Jake in Suffolk.
And it is Sam in Devon.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Yeah, bloody
Very
good,
well.
mate. Bloody good.
Very well.
We'll get onto it a little bit in a minute, but I just wanted to ask how long it took each of you to recover from the game fair.
A solid 3 days.
I was going with 2 days. I was back to normal in 2 days.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. There was definitely a hangover to be had.
I didn't really drink because we were podding on the Saturday. We were stuck in traffic all day Friday, and we were driving home on the Sunday. So, I mean, Claire helped with hoovering up the rosé, but I was fairly abstemious. But I don't think I've walked that far since forever.
Yeah, it's a lot. And now, how did you each find your first experience of being on stage in front of an audience?
Horrifying. Terrifying.
Absolutely loved it. When are we doing the next one? It was brilliant. Looking across to everyone, there was shaking fingers. There was wine kind of coming up to the lips very much.
I thought George was going to put his front teeth out with that little bottle.
I couldn't get the bloody lid off.
I know.
That was the problem.
Just
I was trying to
sweaty
do it
hands.
whilst holding the microphone and not bash the microphone with the bottle. And yeah, that was terrible.
Nerves are amazing things, aren't they? I mean, my hand just turned to thumbs. And I tried that thing, look at the audience and imagine them all naked, and that just made it 100 times
Well, I
worse.
was to say, with that lot, you want to be with our audience, not advisable at all.
It was a lot of fun, and I thought Livesey and Abel lived up to the challenge very well.
They did very well to even speak, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Mind you,
Livesey-
once they get going, I had a feeling they were going to sort of carry on and do the encore in the second hour. Good sports, though, weren't they? Really good sports.
Yeah,
it was
great
nice
fun.
to see the place packed out as well. I wasn't quite expecting that. So
Yeah.
And it was
very
a
cool.
relief
Yeah, it
to
was-
listen back to it and realise we didn't cock it up. So that was quite nice.
It's all in the edit, mate. All in the edit.
How reassuring.
So let's press on because we've got lots to get through. So let's start with Avian. What's that you're drinking?
Right. I am continuing with my research, and I have managed to get a bottle of the St Ives Godrevy Gold, which was the winner of the Cornwall Cider Championships at the 2025 Royal Cornwall Show this year. That's the competition that I've rather rashly entered myself and diggers into. And it was, looking back now, it was actually judged by huge Fernie shitting halls.
Ah, Mr. Chicken Stall.
I guess they couldn't afford Tim Madden. So it's a, 4.5%. I tried some at the show on the day, and it's blooming lovely. So I'm going to try it from the bottle.
That sounds like a session cider from where you're from at
That's a
4.5%.
breakfast
Well, I
cider,
have got a
isn't it?
backup for just in case we carry on, and that's a Cornish Orchards Vintage at 7.5.
That's more like it.
So I thought
Yeah.
it wise to start with this. That's very good, actually, very happily. I think if Digby and I can get anywhere near to a Guns on Pegs Classic 14th, we'll be doing remarkably well.
Mate, a 7.5% one. You're going to be punching the screen in a minute.
That's why it's the reserve.
Fair play. It sounds a lovely one you've got there, mate.
No, it's really good. Like that.
Jake, you now that the game fair is here, you now well and truly off the wagon.
Oh, yeah, that was... so we are going to Paris still next month, but I mean, as some of you would have seen me on Saturday of the game fair, I thought I was fine. I was told that I wasn't. So, yeah, we can say we're safely off the wagon now. And I've kind of, when you did that Moscow Mule,
Yeah.
George, so I had an idea afterwards, which was I want to do something for my guns when they come at the end of the day, they come into the TP. What can I give them as a kind of a Kudu River signature drink? So I've gone and purchased copper cups, chaps, you can see on the camera there.
Yeah.
Very
I've ordered a
authentic.
full set of those, and I'm trying to come up with something which I'm going to call the Kudu Buck. And it is a nice drink at the end. And so this is the first attempt of a Kudu Buck. Now,
You're going to have to say
it
that
has-
carefully after 2 or 3, aren't you?
There we go. That's exactly why the play on words, because you couldn't give her if you have too many of these. So from that, chaps, I have got in here a vodka from the Game Fair, GHB vodka that was...
Sorry, you've got
sponsored by Pakistan.
GHB in there. What
Sorry,
kind of
I'll
a
say that
shoot are
again.
you running?
No. It's not GHB, actually. I said that wrong, so I've already had a good half of this
I'll
already.
have a
So,
Rohypnol and tonic,
so
please.
I really couldn't give a kudu buck. But so it's a GHQ vodka, which sponsored Steffi's stand, and these really nice Scottish distiller, Avian. You might have heard of
Excellent.
them before. Really nice people. So I've stuck a vodka in there. I've stuck a King's Ginger in there with tonic
Ooh.
water.
Yeah.
So I have tried it. It's not nice. It needs work.
I mean, you
so
don't like
volume
ginger
one-
anyway, Jake.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So volume 1, but it is. I reckon I've only got one shot left of the old school King's Ginger left. Then there is no more of the 40% King's Ginger. So, but worth it. It's very watery. It needs something different. It needs a ginger beer as well or something. So anyway, that's volume 1. We're going to keep you updated.
I think your problem is your tonic water, the bitterness of the quinine will clash horribly with the ginger, and I don't think it'll sit well. I mean, if you can't get the King's Ginger, you could always whip up a batch of Johnny's Ginger Thing, couldn't you?
No, you're okay, mate. But that's really not good. I'm going to come to you a bit more, Avian, over the next weeks and what have you, and we're going to come up with a kudu buck on the back of your Moscow Mule, George. So yeah, that's what I'm on. Samuel, you look like you've got a bottle open in front of you there, buddy. What are you on?
It's not open yet. And if it's any consolation, Jake, I think you're absolutely fine on Saturday at the game fair, but I may not have been, so my judgment may not be that good. I've got, on my unofficial tour of British breweries, a Badger Golden Champion, Golden Ale. I thought we'd had Badger on here before, and Chris has had a few, because he's had a Blandford Fly, a Cranbourne Chase, and a Thirsty Ferret.
He has.
And if this runs out, I have got a Thirsty Ferret.
Heard that about you.
That's good dark beer, that.
Look at that one. That brings back horrible memories of my sixth form geography field trip. We were hiding cans of that in the gutters of the hostel we were staying in. But
that's
it's
another
good stuff,
story.
though, eh? Sorry, I was just having a drink. Very, very refreshing. 4.5% Golden Ale. Very nice.
Very nice. George, what are you on tonight?
I'm on a local beer. It's the same brewery that I've mentioned before that's attached to the pub what my mate owns. He bought it in lockdown, which was, or just before lockdown hit.
Cracking time to buy a pub.
Terrible. But hugely successful. And they're actually, last time I was there, they were expanding the brewery, building a new building for it because they can't keep up with demand.
Oh, wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Very, very successful. They've done a great job with it. So this is it's the Flower Pots Brewery. They do deliver, and it is the Perridge Pale, which it says. I mean, it's the color of a lager, which is, I'm not a big man for sort of a big chewy IPA or whatever. So this is kind of the best of both worlds for me, and it says that it's award-winning. And it's a refreshing yet intriguing pale ale with a clean finish. And actually, do you know what I mean when I say it's got a sort of soapiness to it? That sort of
That's sort of coriander-y.
They'd probably say more in the sort of the mouthfeel. It's got a kind of soapy is probably not the word they would want to use. They'd probably say creamy or something like that. But I really like it. It's not a negative as far as I'm concerned, and it's a very gentle 3.6%.
Is the feeling of soap in the mouth cast back to your upbringing then, George?
Well, you have heard me speak when microphones are off, so you can be the judge.
Okay, he's been a very naughty boy.
Old potty mouth Brown with his mouthful of soapy water.
Right, very good. So I want to get back onto the game fair in a minute, but I thought we'd just check in with everybody and see what's been happening. I'll just quickly update you on what's been happening here. Not a lot is the short answer, but I've been able to enjoy a few early morning walks on the farm recently. The pheasants arrived, I guess, about 10 days ago or so. But more excitingly, we have got at least one, if not more, broods of, as it were, wild redleg chicks about.
Oh, that's brilliant.
One of 10. Which is pretty good. And, people talk about how useless as parents the redleg is. So either we've got some particularly smart ones, or it's a testament to all the work that my brother and Jason have been doing around the place and the number of foxes that they've managed to inconvenience and the magpies and all the rest of it.
It is the only way, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Unfortunately,
it's so cool to see them all sort of buzz off across the field.
It must be epic, George, just to know that
Yeah.
your area of what you're doing is housing and accommodating such wildlife, predator control. You've got everything. You went and looked back at your cover crops. You've changed those. Epic, mate. I've had the privilege of coming down to yours, and that's a huge hat tip to you all.
If you carry on doing what you're doing there, George, do you reckon you'd have greys back there, or is that not a part of the country you'd see greys?
I mean, once upon a time, it would have been prime grey partridge country.
Central.
Yeah.
The reality is that our farm is probably too small to have a sort of significant enough population of greys. I think I've heard it said you need about 2,000 acres. We're probably more like 900. There's also just an unbelievable amount of disturbance. We have footpaths, we have golf driving ranges, we have dog walking paddocks, we have, people everywhere. And I think that is probably the single biggest problem. We are right on the edge of town. And I think, every now and again we do get some greys that are sort of passing through, and that is what they do. They sort of turn up, they hang about for a day and think, heck, there's quite a lot of people and dogs around. I don't like this very much, and they leave. I'd absolutely love for it to be a viable thing, but I don't think it is.
But then again, if you're getting the redlegs to rear a brood, it really is the proof of the pudding, isn't it? That whatever it is the guys are doing down there with your brother and all the people doing the work, it's producing the results. Because I think to have an environment where ground nesting birds can be successful with all the omnivorous predators that we're saddled with in this country, if you can get even especially the redlegs, you're doing something right. So even if greys are a bit of a pipe dream, if you set the environment for them, there's an opportunity, there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, they may turn up. One of the things, in fact, I wrote about this on Scrypan the other day, which is, although I think that released pheasant and partridge shoots generally have a pretty good net biodiversity gain record. The fact of releasing, and I was also talking about stocked trout, and then also thinking about it in terms of the decline of salmon. Stocking or releasing has always been a sticking plaster to cover up or boost populations where, for whatever reason, wild populations have diminished to a point where there's no longer a shootable or catchable surplus. And it struck me that even if we may never be able to be a completely wild bird shoot just because of the facts of geography and that might make it impossible. Even if just a few of our birds each year are wild, and we supplement, it feels like we're doing the right sort of things.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, not brown nosing, but I did enjoy the article. I mean, just the thought of having George Brown in your ears for 20 minutes was lovely. But I think definitely it's a sticking plaster, the stocking. But I think also the other point is it's a shortcut. It's put birds down now, start shooting in October was the mentality. And it was, we didn't shoot many last year, so we'll just put more down this year.
Yeah.
And it didn't tackle the underlying issues, which is obviously what you guys are doing in our small way. It's what we're trying to do. And even if you can't afford the expense and the time and the input to run a completely wild bird shoot, I think if you've got an element of breeding birds on the ground, it's progress. It's showing that the land management, the animal husbandry, all the effort you're putting in for the broader environment is going in the right direction. I mean, we haven't seen any pheasants on our ground this year. One of the farmers did say to me, "Oh yeah, no, I've seen loads of little pheasants running around everywhere." And I spoke to his boss and said, "Oh, Liam's seen loads of young birds," and he went, "Has he though?" And I went, "Well, I don't know. What do you mean?" He goes, "They could have been squirrels. They could have been." I said, "Oh, is he not much of a naturalist?" He went, "Not really." So we've seen plenty of paired up pheasants, but no young yet. So for you guys to have some wild redlegs is brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Especially in a year like this so far, it's not been an easy year for wild birds as it is, really, is it? So you know, if you've managed to have some this year, hopefully in the coming years it'll be better and better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in some ways, I think we've been okay here in terms of the conditions. You know, we've had rain at just the right moments,
Yeah.
but you know that long dry spell will have really helped, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, when they were scratching about and when they were nesting and all that sort of stuff. So I think you know, probably here at any rate, it's been okay for the wild birds, and certainly, you know, looking at the amount of fruit on the trees and that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be a pretty good wild food year one way and another.
I think everybody's saying all the birds are wandering already, aren't they? They're on their toes.
Yeah. So how about yours? How far have they spread? Have they made it into Devon yet?
Not quite, but we've only had them since Friday. We've had them just under a week. We only have 400 in. We had them from a different breeder this year. We've got Byzantes in this year, but they've settled into the pen really well. But what's fantastic is that they've broken into 3 distinct factions. So at one end of the pen, it's grown up. That's where I fertilise the brambles, and we've got all the ferns growing there, and they're like the Khmer Rouge. You don't see them.
Sort of hiding in the bushes.
They are. They're like little ninja warriors. They go into the ferns and the brambles, and you never see them. Occasionally, you see there's just this little eyeball peeking at you. And then in the middle of the pen, where we had a couple of trees come down in the storm, so we've got this massive pile of logs and branches and sticks and what have you. That's sort of the Club Med, and the buzzards are starting to hammer them a bit, because all they do is they just lie in the sun on the branches looking beautiful, and the buzzards are starting to pick them off. And then we've got this other third faction who we had a few that kept going out through the fence. We're trying to work out, we must have a hole somewhere. And we'd noticed this group of about 50 who would just sidle up to the fence, and they literally are going along the fence and nudging it, see where they can get out under. And I spent 20 minutes sat there just watching them the other day. And what they're doing is we put in a couple of those raised pop holes.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea is that the birds can't get out through the pop hole. They can only get in. Yep. These little shits, you can see them lining up, and they look around, see who's about, and they actually jump straight up about 2 foot into the fox grid and out and gone.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure that when we come to break the pen down, we'll find under one of the range shelters we put in, there'll be a part-built glider or Harry, and there'll be a tunnel called Harry somewhere with... Absolutely. I'm sure they walk up and down the pen shaking bits of dirt out of the bottom of their shoes.
Oh, that is a brilliant. Hey, that is epic.
So we've had a few get out into the covers already. So I'm knackered today because we're tearing around trying to put up water lines. We put drinkers in the covers this year just to try it. And we were desperately trying to get some food in the feeders, which we weren't planning to do for another week or so. So we've had to go round and backfill them and get on with it. But yeah, we shall see.
Great. Jake, how about you? What's been going on?
Not too dissimilar to Avian, actually. I have just joined my first ever syndicate.
Yay!
And I was invited onto a syndicate just down the road from me by fellow Order of the Garter member. And it's been really good fun. Last weekend was being shown the ropes of... it's that thing. I haven't started a new job or anything quite like it for at least 15 years. And I turn up there last Saturday morning, 6 a.m, and Ben's showing me around saying, right, the keys are kept here and we do this and we do that. It was like my first day at a new job, and it was epic. And Branches Park supply the birds. They came in, they had to be held back for the weather. We had that horrible turn of rain, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, and they should have come in then. This shoot takes on 600. So they were being put in their pens. It was really cool going around seeing them all. It was weird because I see them at Branches and I'm like, oh, I was bitting you guys, and that type of thing. And then now all of a sudden, and the hard work that the lads, Dominic and Peter, have put in on that field, I can assure you. Now looking at them, feeding them. This weekend I've got a work party coming up, so we're out strimming around the feeders, filling those all up so they're ready to go. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's been me for doing that. And then, chaps, do you know what? I've celebrated yesterday my 15th wedding anniversary.
Yay!
Huge congratulations.
15 years. Thank you very, very much indeed. Laura could have done less for murder. I'm sure she's contemplated it.
Yeah, it is that case. I'll remind her at the weekend that if she'd shot you when she met you, she'd be out on parole by now.
That's exactly it, buddy. we looked at what do you buy, your wife or your husband for a wedding anniversary. We pretty much have everything we want, 2 great children, 3 including Joe. We don't need anything. We've got dogs, we've got cars, all that type of stuff. But Crystal is a 15th wedding anniversary. Well, you could buy me a nice crystal glass for a drink out or something like that, but Laura couldn't find anything. Watches now for the 15th on the modern day calendar, for what do you buy a man. So Laura's like, well, he's quite fussy when it comes to watches, so I won't buy one of those. So she just went with nothing.
Did you tell her that watchmaking and gun making are very closely related?
They are, and I did put her in touch with those lovely bands as well. The
Ken Hunt.
Yes.
Kent Hunt. You see, along with a kudu buck. You can't say that wrong as well. So let's just be careful. See how I let one of you boys say it. So Laura is aware of one of those, but I didn't get anything, and I'm really glad Laura didn't, because we don't need to buy each other anything. However, chaps, I did buy Laura a present, and so I'm like one up. Not only behind me, you can see the protea, the protea flower, which was Laura and I got married in South Africa. So that's a flower of choice each year. But I did buy a really good present.
Go on.
And it's the most chauvinistic thing you can ever buy your wife.
You didn't buy an ironing board, did you?
No, frying pans. Chaps, we were desperate for a wok and a frying pan, so I went and bought them. Don't hate me, because I promise you, Laura, and I will get her on this podcast to say she was so happy. She was like, "Oh my god!" She rang her mum and said, "Mum, he's bought me a new frying pan."
Have you seen those old Tom and Jerry cartoons where they use the frying pan not for frying?
Yeah,
it might have a jig-shaped dent in it by the end of this pod.
All I can say is, chaps, thank you to my amazing wife. She puts up with so much. She will listen to this, and she can hear me talking. So I'm incredibly appreciative of everything in the last 21 years, but 15 married. So, it's been great since the game fair and we last saw you, chaps. So, Samuel, buddy, what have you been up to? You got to beat that.
I don't think I can beat that, mate.
Quick, make something up.
Game fair. Well, game fair, obviously, which I think we'll come to shortly. Lots and lots of sim days, and then what seems like ages ago, but was only not even a month ago as we record this, I went up to Barbary and had my first go at Rally Clays.
Excellent.
How'd you get on?
Fun. Well, I didn't win. Otherwise, you would have seen a lot more about it.
Did you hit more than Jake?
Did you come 14th?
I didn't make it into the semi-finals, but it was really good fun to take part in, and also then really good fun to watch some of the really, really bloody good shots kind of battle it out in the semis and the finals. And I think Simon's onto something there, isn't he? You guys have had a go.
I have a question about Rally Clays. Am I right in saying that they're mainly sort of crossers and what have you?
Yes. They're going away as well, so they're in a horseshoe shape.
You're in a compact sporting layout. So at Barbary, we had 10 different targets. I know he's done it before. I mean, Simon said to me, "You can do it with 5 as long as you vary it on the way back as opposed to the way up, just so that each shooter is shooting a different target."
It strikes me that they should be incomers.
Well, that's what Jake and I did. We did them as incomers, and it was bloody good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, we went on
as incomers. You've got even less time than if they're going away or crosses.
I don't know if George is trying to add a bit of jeopardy and means incomers as in coming right at you. So you must shoot
like grab, just forehead height. Oh well, I'll tell you what. That is something that this is completely unrelated to shooting, really. But our developer Sandeep has been over from India for the last 6 weeks, and he's going home tomorrow. So on Tuesday we went to Sixes, which is the cricket equivalent of Clays, which is the clay shooting bar.
Yeah.
And that is such good fun. It's brilliant. It was fantastic. But the bowling machine thing is about 7 yards away. So reaction times that you have are
you got to be quick.
Absolutely minuscule. Just hit it. You just have to hope for the best, really. I didn't have time to react properly. I was the first one in.
Does that work well with cocktails or not? I imagine it gets worse rather than better.
I grew in confidence.
Can you crank the speed up, George? You know,
Yeah,
is it
so
a
there's
set speed?
different levels, and I was the first one in the cage, and one of my colleagues was like, "Right, we'll try you on club level, which is in the middle," and they've got sort of video screen, so it was a spin bowler, and I could not connect with any of them. It bowled me a googly, which I thought was very unfair.
Just ease you into it.
Yeah.
I got cleaned up about twice in my first session. I did get the hang of it after that, but yeah, it was really good fun. Right, let's just very quickly. I'm going to put you each on the spot and give you no more than 15 seconds to tell me your Game Fair highlights apart from the podcast recording. So, Sam, you go first. Best bit of the Game Fair.
Dogs, fishing, people, and I was going to say live Game Fair episode, but I'm not allowed to, so I'll say a few drinks.
Very nice. So you went down to the fishing village?
Yeah, I went down to the fishing village. Didn't have a go with anything and didn't buy anything down there, which was unusual. But yeah, I like watching some of the demos and trying to pick up where I could potentially be going wrong. And it never seems to work. In the same way that I go over and watch the working Labradors and think, yeah, Ruby will be like this by the time I get back. And she isn't. Yeah, it's all good fun.
Very good. Avian, how about you? Best bit?
Best bit, I think, was the food. I think Eat Wild on the Guns on Peg stand, it just seemed to be never-ending little bites and canapes all day. Some of them were fantastic. I found one of the best burgers I've ever had out in the food village. It was simple. It was just wonderfully flame grilled cooked. I think we went back and had a couple of them. And I think, often you go to those sort of outdoor events and you just get the endless greasy kebab vans and greasy fish and chip vans, and it's all a bit
lots
low
of beige
grade.
food.
Lots of beige food. But I thought the standard of the food on offer at the Game Fair was exceptional. There was a hell of a lot of choice. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed standing outside of all the clothes stands whilst Claire went in and did her shopping. That was fascinating. But she did do the classic and bought a Game Fair hat.
Oh, is it? Wait, let me guess. Is it turquoise?
Nearly. It's teal, allegedly.
Teal,
apparently,
same
that's
thing.
a colour.
Does it have a feather?
Of course, it has a feather. Absolutely.
Marvellous.
And I'm pleased to report that she has worn it afterwards, which I think is quite a rarity, to buy a Game Fair hat and then wear it after the Game Fair. So she was very happy. But for me, the big high was Machinery Nation did the mini tractor demo.
Machinery Nation. That's a tremendous name. Do they sell machinery or do they just do demos?
Watch this space. We are hopefully getting them on the Shoot Hub pod this month.
Oh, what fun.
It should be brilliant. I spoke to James there today. We're trying to get some dates together to get a microphone over to him. I think looking at it, they started off as sort of a agricultural and farming and horticultural machinery sales, and they've completely migrated to just, by the looks of things, doing demos on YouTube.
Wow.
They've got an enormous YouTube following, and they do everything from sort of battery-operated leaf blowers right the way up to fully functioning, all singing, all dancing farm equipment.
Do they do those mulchers?
They seem to do everything.
I would love to see a mulcher in action, like Clarkson does on his.
Yeah.
I would love to, So, Ave, get a demo down to your
definitely,
shoots,
mate, definitely,
and then get a year in the woods and you controlling it. That would be epic.
That'd be fantastic. Well, I had this hankering to buy a new mule because ours. I love Dora the Explorer, our knackered old Kawasaki, but there's so much money. And then I started looking at these mini tractors after our rotavator debacle on the cover crops, and I started looking at these things brand new. They're about 10 grand. And you can put all the whistles and bells and fittings and everything on them. And I think, I'm not man enough like Sam to have a proper grown-ups tractor, but to have a little blue Izeki tiddle around and fall off it and break my spine just sounds amazing.
I've never seen Avian so excited as when he came up to me at the Game Fair and goes, "Have you seen the tractors? It comes with a free bucket." I felt like he was going to grab my hand and lead me up there and go, "Come on,
When you say a free bucket, do you mean a front loader bucket, or do you mean a bucket with a handle?
A front loader bucket. Sorry.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
I'm trying to build a list of justifications of what I absolutely need it for to present my case to the Treasury, because she'll bat me back if I don't have chapter and verse on it. But yeah, I love them. I think they're great.
Very fun. And Jake, how about you? Best bits?
Didn't see any of it. Literally, I was on stand with Steffi and Melville and Moon the entire time. Never worked a busier Friday. It was epic. So the whole weekend was really, really good. It was wonderful to catch up with you boys, with everyone. But I'm going to say something which might sound a little bit weird, but it isn't, in the sense of got to meet new people, got to meet old friends and what have you. But I found it a little bit odd, chaps. I was having people coming up to us, and this little bit of notoriety that has formed over the last few months, year, or what have you, of being on the Guns on Pegs podcast. People were coming up to me and being like, "Oh, how's River? How's the pups?" And I'm like, "Right." They're like, "Oh yeah, it's so and so Instagram handle XYZ." I'm like, "Okay." And the podcast, loving it. You guys are great. Like, you're brilliant. And they talk to me like, "Florence, how's she doing?" I'm like, "Goodness, it was really, really strange." It was wonderful. Thank you to everyone that did come and say hi. All friends, past and new friends. I loved it, but I didn't see anything of the game fair. Saw a few bars apparently, but that was it. So yeah, it was lovely, but for different reasons. I couldn't hold hand in hand and skip down the gantry.
So is it fame or notoriety, Jake?
No, notoriety. Notoriety. Let's just keep our feet on the ground and what have you. Did get to catch up with one of the trio of the Country Slide Boys. And that was very, very nice to catch up with Richard Prideaux and producer Amy as well. It was lovely to see those guys. Callum avoided me, and Negus, well, he's just too busy these days. So,
he's too famous. He was just
he's
flirting around
famous
in his flowery shirt.
That's exactly it. So that will have to be later on, maybe later in the season. But yeah, I do have a little thing here. Ave, have you been moonlighting again, buddy?
Yes.
Smooching with those Country Slide Boys?
Yes.
How did that go, mate?
Yeah, it was really good fun, actually. We sort of cold to Newcastle. We did a quick record with Richard Prideaux, but we did it on a table at the Guns on Peg stand, which I thought, I don't know whether I was flying the flag or
treachery. I think
it is a little bit treacherous, I guess. And the weather gods found us out, because halfway through that glorious, quite hot but lovely weekend, it absolutely tipped it down just as we were getting into the record. So I suppose we paid the price.
Yeah, serves you right.
I think there ought to be some sort of charge, like the equivalent of corkage for doing it on the Guns on Peg stand.
I think just take it out of our enormous pay packets.
Yeah. Do you know when that episode's coming out, Abe?
I don't. I think they're having a little hiatus. I think obviously probably Richard Negus put his back out carrying all those books back to the car.
Great.
Shots
Brilliant.
fired.
That is brilliant. You are going to stir something now, Abe. Well done. Bloody AI. You're in trouble
but
now.
I think it's in the next couple of weeks. They did a couple of interviews with a few different people at the game fair. I think in fairness to Richard, I think they did raise quite a lot of money for GWCT through sale of the books.
They did. Well, I
so
guess
maybe in a couple of weeks we'll watch this space.
Good. Well, we'll make sure that we give it a share. So, I actually, on the subject of the GWCT, Sam, you were at the, or you attended or joined or whatever you want to call it, the GWCT Grouse Prospects webinar, didn't you? We're recording just a few days before the glorious 12th. In fact, when is the 12th?
Tuesday?
So this will come out on the glorious 12th.
On the glorious 12th. Yeah. Well done.
That just got the title, didn't it?
Just in time for the glorious 12th.
So how's things looking, Sam?
It's difficult. It's one that's going to obviously vary more to more, and I don't want to say anything out of line because I'm not really involved in grouse shooting, but I found it incredibly interesting to hear from the guys that are. They've had big trouble with heather beetle this year, numbers of beetle being up, which obviously devastates a lot of the younger heather, which the grouse would feed on. Crane fly numbers were down, ticks seem more prevalent, and disease issues because of the weather. You're kind of limited resources. Your grouse are higher densities in smaller spaces, so they've had some disease issues as well. although they're still kind of looking at it as a building year.
Right.
And I think that's what they do in grouse cycles. This is a building year, so potentially better than last year, with shooting possible in some locations. But like I say, that's going to be very much down to individual moors to decide. I find it really interesting, kind of everything that goes on behind the scenes. More research than you could squeeze into an hour or an hour and 20 minutes Teams meeting. They're doing blood testing, fecal testing, postmortems. They're tagging hens. They're doing brood monitoring. Sandhill Vets, Dan King from Sandhill Vets was on there. They're working with the GWCT to kind of make this single or standardized recording format. So information gathered from vets and different people is compiled accurately and efficiently so they can give better data. And working with livestock farmers. So obviously, like, ticks and how parasites in sheep can also affect grouse, and how they can work together with farmers to combat that. And that's going to help grouse. It's going to help other wildlife on the grouse moors, and it's going to help farm livestock on the grouse moors. And it was just, I'm trying to condense it down into 5 minutes of talking on here, but there's a serious amount going on.
Yeah, it's amazing how integrated all those different aspects of upland life are.
Yeah,
you can't
definitely
separate them out from one another in quite the same way as maybe you can on a lowland shoot. The sheep affect the grouse, which affect the sheep, which affect the everything else, and round it goes. It's so interesting. Yeah, I have to say, it sounds to me like heather beetle is the big story that the sort of this
one.
year.
Yeah. And they do spring counts and summer counts. Summer counts were kind of just in, so it's the data on that it wasn't limited, but it may vary a bit. And I suppose we'll see. GWCT are hopefully going to make the kind of all the slideshow and everything that went with the Teams call, make that available. So there'll be more information, hopefully, on the GWCT website as well.
Yes, I've got to say, I think my day with the Delaney's is looking a bit iffy.
Oh no,
which is a heather beetle thing.
Yeah.
Oh, George, you will get there. We're all holding everything tightly crossed.
Yes.
But,
Yeah,
if not this season, then fingers crossed for next.
I have a feeling it might not be this year, which would be a real shame. But then maybe next year, who knows? Third time lucky. We'll just have to.
Definitely.
You'll have if it's a build year, George, you might luck out and drop in on a bumper year. So, Sam, when you were listening to the thing there, there's an awful lot of behind the scenes work and research and science that goes on into the grouse moors. And I think it's easy, the press looks at it and just says, "Oh, grouse moors, toffs shooting grouse."
Yeah.
I mean, did they talk much about what the sort of the spillover benefit from all of this research is? You mentioned obviously the grazing animals and the heather health and the grouse health, but all the other animals that live on all the other species that live on the moors, this must give them a broader insight into that. And obviously none of that would be funded if it wasn't for the managed harvest of grouse in the season.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a serious amount. I mean, we all kind of know, because we choose to be involved in the shooting world, not necessarily all involved in grouse shooting, but you you learn what goes on behind the scenes as far as people on the ground and what they're doing who are directly involved in shooting. I think what GWCT are doing is broadening that out, especially by working with the other local farmers and people like that. It's that continuity across the landscape that's really helping.
Yeah, for sure.
And bringing that picture together so that they can look at it, what they're doing with Sandhill Vets, and making that big picture a lot more, easier to digest, I suppose, a lot clearer, because you'll have different people recording things in different ways, and it's not always easy to get that data together. So, streamlining that as well, I think will be.
Yeah.
Really
I think standardizing it is essential to be able to compare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very interesting. Thank you, Sam. And so the other thing I wanted to highlight, just in this, as we sort of come to the end of the news bit, is that Basque have released a new or an updated, I think, social media guide. And I don't want anybody on this podcast to feel personally targeted, Jake, but there was a line in it that I thought was very funny. It says, social media can be a great way of celebrating being out in the field, but it's not obligatory to post images of your day. Just because you've taken a photo doesn't mean it needs to be shared online.
Right.
Time for your defence, Jake.
There's no defence needed. I think we've spoken about this, and there's been correspondence on previous episodes about phones out on shoot days, that type of thing. But you know what? It's a good memory to have. You spend the money, you want to share it. You also want to have a bit of kudos because you're out there. But one thing I have learned is I do agree with what George just said there, and what has come from the Bass Social Media Guide. If you go and post stuff on Instagram or social media, you have got to be really, really careful. They don't like some stuff, and that's a string shot and the guns and that type of thing. The ejection shots, they don't enjoy that, and you get put into Instagram jail. But what I would say is just be mindful of what we're posting. And this is what I had to learn for myself, being Instagram jail for quite some time, coming in and out of it, because I like string shot photos. I think they look really cool. And as a photographer, they're bloody hard to capture. What are we saying to the 90% of people, that general public, that don't really know what we're talking about? You know, kind of like, what's this? They're just killing animals. Be mindful. Do we need to see children with birds running across the countryside? You know, that type of thing. Where do we place it? You know, we're trying to, you know, we don't need to poke the bear, is what I'm trying to say. So George, I agree with that.
It's not just photos though, is it? It's I don't want to bring it up too much because I know it'll get everybody pissed off. It's people's comments on things. Facebook seems to be a prime one for it. And I know I spoke to you boys when I was getting pissed off with people commenting on recent lead shot regulations. And you all told me, don't feed the trolls.
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of people that don't need to comment on social media posts that are put up in the way that they do. And they probably know who they are.
You don't need to be a keyboard warrior.
It doesn't matter which side you're on. It's like you say, as soon as you put a comment on the article that the Daily Mirror has posted, or whoever, that is then publicly available, and you will be seen as a member of the shooting community, and you're pushing at the pool door. So don't do it.
Yeah,
couldn't agree more.
I think it's the media point as well. Red Top Media has an agenda, and I think you have to bear in mind that quite often inflammatory things will be said on purpose because they get a benefit from eyeballs and coverage and clicks and comments. Yeah. So incendiary things are said. I think it's always a case that they always say that cars, ex-girlfriends' telephone numbers, and now social media should really have a breathalyzer you have to pass after 10 p.m.
Yes.
And it's always as well to read a comment, have a think, then read it again, go away and do something else, and then if you still feel minded to respond, do so. But I think the risk is you fire something off, and then somebody else fires something off, and very quickly you end up in this barroom brawl, and everybody's forgotten the point. I mean, there was a wonderful thing when Bass launched this on Facebook today, and they had Alex J. Selby as one of the pictures of the social media, the guy.
She's on the front cover, wasn't she?
That's right.
Yeah. Matt Kidd took the photo as well, by the way. That was one of Matt Kidd's.
Oh, brilliant.
Bloody good photographer.
Fantastic photograph, and, she's a hell of a clay shot and does her bit, but somebody just jumped on the keyboard and, I quote, "Showing off a rich young woman with 5 figures worth of shotgun is doing nothing."
Right.
To which somebody came back with a wonderful put down. "I suspect it is a 4-figure shotgun, like most shotguns. No one's showing off. She is shooting with suitable gear. The tattoo of Marilyn Monroe, which she's got on her hand, is exceptional. The only person doing nothing for shooting here is you."
That's very good. But I think
it there.
I think there's a really interesting thing here. I hate to break it to you boys, but by virtue of the fact that you're on this podcast, you are now part of the media.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know.
Voila.
It's a terrifying.
Does that mean we're
thing, isn't
fake news, George?
it? Well, this is the point, because a lot of people have become very cynical about the nature of news media in particular, but just generally the media in general. And speaking as a journalist, or of a journalist of sorts, let's say, a healthy skepticism and a healthy cynicism about the media ecosystem is a very sensible thing.
Yes.
And if you can understand the motivations, and this is coming back to what you were saying, Avian, understand the motivation of the media outlet putting out that story. Why have they decided that that particular story is deserving of, well, you'd have said ink before, but now I suppose we say screen time. Why have they bothered? And
Yeah.
if you can get your head into that mindset of thinking, why have they used that headline? Why have they used that photo? Why is that person quoted? Why is that person quoted? You start to think, okay, I see your game here. And when you think that to yourself, maybe you feel slightly less inclined to go on a keyboard rant, because you see, oh, actually, I'm kind of above this.
Yeah.
And if you can think of yourself as being above that sort of slanging, which tends to happen in these things,
Yeah, 100%.
you can keep out of the grimier bits.
Saw one of our red top papers or online things pop up on Facebook earlier, commenting about obviously the new laws coming in with the shotgun license application, and it's titled "New Firearms Laws to Crack Down on Gun Crime," and there's a picture of a handgun. To which, to which then loads of people are commenting, "That's a handgun. It's got nothing to do with it." And is there any need for that comment? Is the person who's reading it probably doesn't know that handguns are not legal to own in the UK under most circumstances. So
Yeah,
it's
I think to move it away from shooting a little bit, there's a Facebook page I like called Cornwall Birding, where people just put up reports of strange birds they've seen or things they can't identify.
Are we talking ornithology here, or?
Yes, we are. I'm afraid so. At my age, that's pretty much binoculars and sparrows is all I can manage. But what really fascinates me is that there's a small group of people on there who are trolling it. I think they're trolling it. I hope they're trolling it, because if they are, it's absolutely majestic. So they'll put up a picture of a blackbird, and the comment will go, "I'm thinking this might be a Barbary eagle."
love that.
And then
They are
then
having the best time.
And then the comments just absolutely light up, and they're getting like 5,000 comments of people going, "It's a blackbird, don't be ridiculous."
Yeah, but there you go. All of a sudden, they become very popular. And
There you go.
so they're being very, very clever. And I would say, hat tip to them.
But I think coming
very,
back to the Basque leaflet that's just gone out, and do go online and do download it. I think some of the good bits are, you go on some of the foxing forums and people will put up pictures of foxes they've taken and this, that, and the other. And potentially in a group that are like-minded and doing the same thing, it's that kind of trophy shot. But to put that on a generalist group is counterproductive. And it's like,
it's how the 90% see a save. It's quite simple. But I mean, not to cut across you there, Ave, but I am going to cut across you. Is AI chats? Yeah, 100%. And but I do that because of the power of AI. I sent you boys something the other day which has nothing to do with shooting. It has something to do with property in Northumberland, and it was completely AI. It threw me 100%. And I would just say, please, if you're using a AI ChatGPT, check for irregularities, and don't rely on the bloody thing. It's there. It can help, but I've seen a lot of people that are now using it so in depth that they're actually being lost. And without AI, I wonder where they would be. So be careful about the new social media that's coming, because Facebook, Instagram is going to be outdated. There will be a new thing, and it will be controlled by AI.
Well, I think that you make very valid points, Jake, and as a creative person, I find a lot of AI somewhat alarming, which isn't to say there aren't some very good uses for it.
Mm.
But I also just want to come back to Avian's point about, closed groups and this sort of thing. I think we'd all be pretty well advised to consider there to be no such thing as a closed group.
Yes, good
Even
point.
things on WhatsApp can be forwarded. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter how friendly you think your group is. You need to be very careful about what you
Yeah.
put on there, because all it takes is for one person to think, what an idiot, and share
Yeah.
it to another person, and then it goes round and round and round, and that can be extremely counterproductive. But I think it's a really interesting document, and I think it's a good thing that they keep updating that doc and keep circulating it. So
Definitely.
yeah, do check it out. I will endeavour, if I remember, to put a link to it in the show notes so that people can have a look for themselves. However, I think I want to move things on a bit, and we have got a bit of correspondence.
Ooh.
This one comes from Sven in Sweden, and I would like Avian to do the honours, please.
Righty ho. So from Sven in Sweden. Dear Guns on Pegs team, long-time listener, first-time correspondent. I was spurred into action by a recent episode in which you read out a letter from fellow Swede Robert, who told of his dutiful dispatching of an injured fox. However, I was mildly dismayed when George declared that Robert must be your only Swedish listener. To quote Tobias Funke from Arrested Development, there are dozens of us. So, in the spirit of Scandinavian expansionism, though mercifully without longships, I write to you in the hope of extending the most noble order of the Garter with a small but determined Swedish chapter, and to pose a question that might also be enlightening to your British listeners, particularly those new to the sport. As in many households, it was my father who introduced me to shooting. We spent many years stalking roe, red deer, and the occasional moose in our little patch of forested paradise in central Sweden. More recently, thanks to some generous friends, I have also taken up walked-up shooting, including the odd foray into the Swedish fells in search of that elusive winged ghost, the ptarmigan. My father, once a keen wing shot himself, now listens to my tales with a wistful smile and increasingly numb feet. Neuropathy has sadly put an end to his hill climbs and bog trotting. However, he's long harboured one remaining dream: to experience a proper, driven day in the UK. The Tweed, the Elevenses, the gloriously polite slaughter of pheasants. I've duly scoured the Guns on Pegs website and, flights and paperwork permitting, hope to bring him over this season. Which brings me to my question. While the idea of a father and son day on the peg fills me with joy, I'm quietly terrified of committing one of those ghastly, unspoken faux pas that seem to lurk around every shoot lodge and gun bus. While I reckon we'll avoid the obvious errors, turning up in camo, semi-auto slung over the shoulder, I've gathered from your excellent podcast that there are many more subtle pitfalls for the unwary foreigner. So I ask, what are the absolute bare minimum essentials a pair of Swedish interlopers should know to avoid becoming those guns? Is there a crash course in British shooting etiquette you'd recommend? Or should we simply embrace our cousins from the continent status and hope any social blunders are attributed to harmless European eccentricity? With the greatest respect from the snowy north, well, currently 28 degrees and buzzing with mosquitoes, but you get the idea. Sven. Gentlemen.
Very good.
Very, very good letter.
Really, really good
Brilliant
letter.
letter.
I'm going to jump in straight away with that one.
Go for
Go on
it.
I'll look after him and his dad at Branches Park.
Oh,
this
there
year.
we go. Bloody sales.
I'll give him that. I have no shame. No shame. I'd
jump
really
in
like
there.
a bit
If
of
he
turn-
wants to come to a shoot in the southwest and he's looking for a loader and somebody to maybe guide him on his day down here, then I would more than happily do that for him as well.
You guys are
literally pimping
shameless.
ourselves.
Shame.
Absolutely shameless. Right.
But actually, Sam, that's a very good point. I think, if it is your first time and it's going to be quite a big day,
Yeah.
a loader is not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all.
Because they will help you with things like bird selection and that
Yes.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
I don't know about you guys, but I think probably my single biggest bit of advice is don't try to pretend like you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think people will see through that, and nobody will care that it's your first time. In fact, they'll probably be quite excited to
to try and show you the ropes,
try and share their knowledge a bit and show you the ropes. So I think just embrace your newbieism, and
if he's wearing his pink garters, which he has just earned by writing into the podcast, then he's going to be accepted anywhere.
No, he's coming this season. He's unlikely to get them this season, is he?
Okay.
Now, behave yourself. He will get them. Don't worry, Sven. You'll get them, buddy.
I think my two penneth would be for him and his father to prepare properly is safety. I think the difference between standing in a line of guns and going wing shooting through the woods on your own, the basic gun safety applies at all times, but there are certain little nuances with standing in a line in terms of which birds you approach, which bird is safe in terms of what you can see around it and height, how you load and unload your gun on the peg, how you move your gun in a slip from the gun bus to the peg. And I think that's fairly straightforward. I did a quick rummage around for him.
All of those things could be done by your loader, of course, Davian.
Of course, they can be done by your loader, but to have an awareness of it, I think, is important. There's a good piece on the Guns on Pegs website, isn't there? The guide, if you're new to shooting. Good article there.
There is, yes. Yeah.
There is. Basque did one as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
But he's not new to shooting, Ave. And
No, I'm not saying that.
So, Ave, he's not new to shooting. He knows that. So I think, we can nanny him as much as he wants. That's his thing. I think he do you know what? Embrace for me. And I agree, you can't go wrong with gun safety, but that's just stuff you do the night before. You think about it and you go from there. If you worry about that, it's going to be different. But embrace your Swedishness on the gun bus. Talk about what you bring to them and what you bring to the gun bus, and engage that way. That's what I would say would be the way to make the day even better. Is like, I hunt moose. I can guarantee you the other 8 people on that bus will be like, you do what? Goodness me. Tell me about that. And the safety is a safety. The kit is a kit. Turn up in what you want. Maybe not a semi-auto, but everything else, just engage and have that chat. That is where it's at.
He's potentially more worried about being dished out a hefty fine for something, isn't he?
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. I think from Sven's letter, there's no doubt that on the gun bus he'll be good with the stories and quick with the tale. I mean, yes, I know I'm being a bit nanny state and talking about safety, but I think if you've got the nuance of safety on a shooting line, if that's in your head, the rest of it, what you wear, how you stand, 11s is etiquette, things like that, I don't think really matter. I guess it goes back to the thorny question of the beater's tip. Well, I think if you get on with the rest of the guns there, generally people just have a quick chat. Yeah. As the afternoon draws on, what are we thinking, gents?
Yeah.
And
what would you say are the absolute cardinal sins outside safety?
Turning up late.
Yep.
Running out of cartridges.
Yep.
That's funny. I don't know if that's a cardinal. That's just brilliant.
I would say
that's a fine. Not tipping the keeper or being disrespectful by only giving the keeper like a 5 or a 10. I think it's
poaching and missing, like we spoke about last week.
Yeah, poaching and missing. Acting like you're try and engage with the beaters and the keepers and the pickers up.
100%.
Don't have that sort of us and them attitude.
Yeah.
I think claiming birds that you haven't shot is right up there with of all the things you can do out shooting. If you go, oh yeah, I shot 7 there, and everybody knows you only shot 2, there's nowhere to hide a lot of the time. People will see. So don't, and it just makes you look like a knob.
Definitely, well, your son will see whether you shot 2 or 4 at Water Priory, wouldn't they?
Jake,
I knew that was coming, boys. I absolutely knew that was coming. But I think be honest is always the one. I love the chat. There's a chap I always get drawn next to. Every year we shoot together, and every year we pull a peg. It's completely at random when we're next to each other, and he will see me shoot it, and he will be listening to this, and he'll be like, "That's mine." I'm like, Adam, no, it is not. And He's like, I shot that, and you're like, and you go into everyone. He goes, Jake says that he shot my bird, and everyone's like, no, you've been shooting way better and longer than he has. No, that was Adam's bird. I'm like, you heard it. So yeah, Adam, I know you're going to listen to this, but going back to the everything, bring a bottle of something Swedish for them.
Yeah, a bit of aquavit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, aquavit, yeah.
Something they won't have seen on the bus before. Bloody good
That's
shout.
exactly it. So basically, we're going to have something we've never drunk before, and we're going to talk about mooses.
But you can keep your tinned fish.
Okay.
Leave your tinned fish at home. We don't want any of that. How about this one, guys? Sort of like a little bit of sort of extended etiquette, especially if it's your first early experiences of driven shooting. Don't try and shoot the birds you're not confident with, because nobody likes runners and prick birds.
Yeah.
But one that I think is quite important is if your neighbour's pricked a bird and it's safe to do so, deliver the coup de grace, finish it off.
Absolutely.
Quite right. I like that.
And I think that's something that isn't done. You tend to look at your neighbour and go, ha, he only pricked that. I've got a perfect bird coming. But I think respect to the whole team there is to turn and bring it down.
Here's an extension of that as well. If you prick a bird, which we all do on occasion, and somebody else tidies up behind you, I think it's rather nice to say thank you.
100%.
Yes.
I can't believe people don't.
No.
I honestly, at the end of every drive, always thank people next and left and right of me anyway, just like that was really cool and everything. But I always thank the person that finished off a
You
bird.
You could either thank them or you could just ask for some recompense for having slowed them down for them.
I think that's a really good one, George.
Yeah, I like
maybe
that.
we should be pushing that a little bit more rather than worrying about our own kind of averages, but helping each other out. That's
For
fun.
Sven, I'd love to recommend Rosie Nickerson's book, How to Be Asked Again, which I think is just a bit of fun reading for him and his father before they go. It's not too serious, but there are some gems in there.
Yeah, it's certainly open. It's an eye opener to the psyche, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it might be absolutely baffling now that I think about it. But
I would enjoy it and not take it too seriously. And I think for Sven, don't turn up in your dry robe and your bucket hat, but perhaps for your first aid, be dry, warm, and comfortable. Don't get too hung up on whether you're shirt and tie and tweed and all of the rest of it. Whilst I think we've spoken before and said, yes, that's important and tradition and what have you, I think enjoying the day, being safe and getting on with the team is far more important for your first day. You'd allow a bit of leeway for our European friends coming over. And I think the other bits we've talked about are perhaps a little more important to give headspace to.
Yeah, definitely.
I think as long as he's not dangerous and his personality's probably fairly good. As long as he doesn't stand on the outskirts and exclude himself, get stuck in. Yeah. And I'm not talking about the shooting side of things, as we've all said before. It's more about people and the social aspect. So get
be
stuck
a generous shot.
That's it.
Yes.
Agreed.
Well, just be a generous chap.
I'll let you know because Sven, get in touch, buddy, and we will we can talk and look forward to hosting you this winter. So
Sven, trust me, you won't get a discount, mate.
Since we're all doing shameless plugging, he does say, is there a crash course in British shooting etiquette that you'd recommend? And I would say, yes, you're listening to it.
Oh, well done. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, quite. Go back and listen to some of the episodes and you'll find it. Bloody good.
Great
right,
letter.
chaps.
Good bit of correspondence.
Yeah, lovely. Nearly time to wrap up, but we have got a couple of grand days out.
You still don't know whether it's grand days out or grand's day out.
I like it being grand day out.
Okay, I think in that case it's become grand's day out.
Well, except that this one isn't grand's day out. This is actually Nipper's day out. This is one that Digby shared with me. It's a GWCT Young Shots Day, open to kids aged 9 to 18. At the we haven't got a Welshman. Is it Gwisani Sporting?
It's at the Garth, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the Garth.
I think it is Gwisani.
Yeah,
that's how it's spelled.
And it's a 100-bird day, standing 10 guns. The kids have to have a mentor with them. It's £450 per peg, I think, which is a pretty good deal.
That's good.
All the money going directly to the GWCT, full shoot day hospitality, 11s, the whole 9 yards. You can find it on Guns on Pegs, or if you would like to be considered for the day, or if you'd like to put your name forward, you can drop us an email to pod@gunsonpegs.com and I'll pass
What's
it on
the
to
age
DB.
range on that one, George?
It's 9 to 18.
That sounds absolutely brilliant, doesn't it? And I think
Yeah.
anyone who is thinking of a Christmas and birthday present for a youngster, that will be a fantastic day out for them.
Yeah.
Early Christmas, 1st of September, is just before the schools go back as well. So what a great way to start the next year.
Yeah.
With a day with your granddad, your dad, your mum. You've got to have a mentor. But
your
all
grand,
goes to GWC
Or your gran.
and
Day out.
but also, I mean, it's epic what these guys are doing, and maybe it's a good thing for the rest of us to take heed from this.
Yes.
And say, should we put on a Young Shots Day through the season? Surplus of birds back in January. Let's maybe offer a Young Shots Day and give some of it to GWCT, because what a great charity that is. And I love it. Well done.
I did I think it was a Basque Young Shots Day actually, when I was about 11, and
Nice.
it was fantastic. It was just brilliant. I'm fairly confident I failed to connect with anything all day, but I still remember the day.
And you've carried on that tradition firmly, George. Well done.
Consistency is key, George. Consistency is
So
key.
Toby shot his first pigeon the other day. I didn't tell you about that. So and I was ecstatic. I bought him his first gun at his birthday last October. He's been practicing. He's had lessons down at Eriswell, and he connected. He missed with the first, spiraled it with the second, and I couldn't stop hugging him. He's 9 years of age, and I was just like, yeah.
He's going, get off, Dad. Get off.
He went, Daddy, you're hurting me. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And everything. But, so that wonderful feeling. And George, I mean, I should think when you were with your dad, and when that moment that you connected with a bird, and you were 27, and
did Toby go around telling everyone he shot 4, or did the apple fall further from the tree?
Right, there's another one on this list here. Where are we going next, chaps?
Change the subject there, George.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So then on the next Grand's Day out, we've got the Tolkien of Glen Isla at Angus. This is partridges driven to make them feel like grouse. Guys, this is an epic one. 9th of September, 150 bird day, £950 per peg. It's $855 for GOP premium members. So
That's
go
good.
and it's really good. And go and have a look at the premium packages on Guns on Pegs. Honestly, you can save a small fortune. Tolkien was historically a deer forest, with some grouse offering the opportunity for family walked up days in August. When the grouse numbers dropped, they started to experiment with partridges. The idea was setting up those drives in a way that partridges would fly like the grouse, so lower flying birds hugging the hill topography rather than those high birds. And guys, this is the place to go. If you've got the opportunity to get up there on the 9th of September, really, it's going to be an epic day. So I hope you can. Grand's Day out. Take your gran.
That sounds bloody brilliant, mate, doesn't it?
Does
I do
sound
like
good,
the
mate.
idea of, because I think we've all been on partridge days where there's sort of a mixed partridge and pheasant, and the partridge will peel down the hill, and you're never really sure whether they're safe to take or not. But if it's been set up like that in a grouse style, then obviously they'll have an etiquette and a way of taking them. And I think being able to take them in that manner would be fantastic. That sounds bloody good fun.
Particularly suitable for somebody, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who's had a grouse day cancelled.
Who could that be? No, nothing comes to mind, George.
No.
Right, very good, chaps. That was fun. Thank you very much.
That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? I've enjoyed that, gents.
Before we go, all that remains for me to say is that there's a final reminder that you can get your hands on a pair of the very exclusive Guns on Pegs podcast shooting sock garters by sending us your shooting dilemmas for us to resolve, or by sharing your unpopular opinions or your forgotten drives or your podcast itineraries. Just drop us an email to pod@gunsonpegs.com, and if we read it out in the next episode or any future episode, we will send you some garters. Don't forget to send us your challenge avians. We haven't had one for a really long time, and he's bored out of his mind.
I'm bored out of my mind. Bored.
So get those in, pod@gunsonpegs.com. But for now, that's your lot. Chris and I will be back. Actually, no, the next episode is going to be me and Digby, and we're going to be talking about the game shooting census. So that's going to be really good.
Cool.
Lots of really interesting stats coming out of that every year. It's going to be very nice for me because I have had no hand in putting the survey together, which was always one of the worst parts of my year when I was working at Guns on Pegs. So until then, thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.